Hello, First Things First listeners. This is Skip Bayless. Weekdays on Undisputed, I debate my co-host Shannon Sharp on the biggest sports news of the day. But now it is time for me to unleash in a brand new way. Introducing the Skip Bayless Show. My opportunity to share behind-the-scenes stories about things I've seen and confrontations I've had from decades covering the NFL and NBA. This is an opportunity to go so much deeper into solo opinions that just don't fit in rapid-fire debate. I will respond to your no-holds-barred questions. You can ask me anything about why I've said what I've said, or about what goes on off-camera on Undisputed. Your question should be as provocative as you want. My answer sure will be. New episodes of The Skip Bayless Show will come out each week. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts.
The NFL playoffs are upon us. Who's got the most to gain from a Super Bowl win? You know, Nick's got a list. We'll break that out, break it down. Bills Patriots meeting tomorrow for the third time. Will Mac Jones make a statement? And Sunday night, Steelers, Chiefs. Is anyone besides Nick calling this, quote, better than a bye for Kansas City? Good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, that guy, Nick Wright,
finally here.
Chris Broussard, Kevin Wells. Nick, you said the playoffs where the Chiefs don't even start for another 8 days. Like, you're not giving the Steelers, like, this much of a chance? Nothing?
No.
There's
no chance.
Scenario where
no
the Steelers could win this game.
But that's a controversial opinion. Let's say something everyone can agree with.
Yeah, it is.
My God, we're finally here. Wild card weekend is upon us, Jenna. Playoff football.
This is great.
Playoff football.
Nick's second best weekend of the year. Here we go.
That's
we will
right,
get
Jenna
to those
Wolfe.
heavily favored Chiefs, but we kick things off in Dallas, where the Niners and the Cowboys will face off in the playoffs. First time since 1995. For Dallas, the bar is Super Bowl. There's no way or the other way around it. They'll face an injured Jimmy G Sunday afternoon. What else is new? He's injured. Garoppolo will be playing through a chipped bone in his thumb. But Kyle Shanahan says despite the injury, Garoppolo still gives the 49ers the best chance to win. All right, Nick, Cowboys, Niners, who wins on Sunday?
I think this is going to shock my colleagues. I have the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason is multi-layered. First of all, I think they know exactly what they want to do and who they want to be. They want to run the football, then run the football some more, then have Deebo Samuel run the football. That's exactly what they want to do. And I don't know that the Cowboys can handle that physicality. They have an obvious coaching edge. Trent Williams looks like is going to play. That is massively important for San Francisco. But I know, Broussard, well, you're ready to pounce on me and say, but Nick, you hate Jimmy G. But Nick, you think Jimmy G can't win. Well, thanks to our brilliant statistician, Dustin Waite, and this is a proprietary stat. Dusty created it. Remember what I said Monday. You're thanking the arsonist for putting out the fire. Well, this actually gives me a little more faith in the Niners because even if Jimmy G sets the house on fire, maybe he can put it out. Show me the arson stat, please. What is an arson stat? What are you talking about? Aerial reclamation succeeding overwhelming negligence. What does that mean? It means games where you throw multiple interceptions, but then you lead a comeback victory. Who is the leader since Jimmy G took over? Oh, my God, look at those two guys.
Oh, wow.
Both of them have missed full seasons, yet they have an uncanny ability to ruin their team's chances. But because they do it so often, it doesn't get in their head, Broussard. They get out there, they keep firing, and sometimes they come back and win.
So often.
Even if Jimmy G melts down Broussard, the Niners can win. I think the Niners win.
I am shocked, Nick Wright. The Jimmy G that you think is garbage, the Jimmy G that you think should have been benched, is going to go on the road, as an underdog against a highly touted defense and win? Wow.
Well, the running game is.
Wow. Nick, I'm glad you've been listening to me. I'm glad I've gotten through to you over the past few weeks. and you finally come around. Oh, you can mock Jimmy G with your stats and all that. The bottom line is you recognize as well as I do that this guy can win. I've never said he's Aaron Rodgers. All I'm saying is you can win with him. And Nick, look, I'm a Dak Prescott guy, I've been called. But I got the 49ers too. I am with you. I think their physical play, they're probably the most physical team in the league. And then, like you said, they want to run the ball, and I think they'll be able to. And then what they also do great is they run after the catch. Deebo Samuel, and Dallas is susceptible to that. Their defensive backs will give up yards after the catch, especially our man Trayvon Diggs. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. And then on the other side of the ball, they got a very good run defense. So I think they're going to stuff Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And that will put the game on Dak's shoulders. And as much as I like him, Wiles, I don't think he's ready yet he's old enough, but I just don't believe yet that he can win a huge game against a very good team solely on his arm. So I got the Niners, Wiles, like Nick.
I mean, it's a great take. Here's the weird thing about this game. If the 49ers do win, Nick, not only would it be a disaster for Dallas, it'd be a little bit of a head scratcher for San Francisco, too. They'd be like, Jimmy G did get us to the Super Bowl, and now he did just beat the Cowboys, and we are rolling with them, but we gave a bunch of draft picks up for Trey Lance, who is obviously our future. So I do think that the Niners, regardless of how Jimmy G plays, short of winning the Super Bowl, are going to have to give the reins to Trey Lance. So what do you think about this? Is this weekend's game for Jimmy G actually an audition on the national stage?
Yes.
And I think two teams are going to lean in. First team, Steelers. Mike Tomlin, all he does is win.
It's a perfect
all Jimmy
fit.
G does win. With defense and running, I like that one a lot. Or what about this one? What about the New York Football Giants? Going to have a new GM.
No.
Going to have a new coach.
No.
Hold on 1 second. No. The Giants would work. They've got wide receivers. I think you got a good tight end. You got draft pick 5 and 7. Maybe everything that you think is a Joe Judge problem, actually a Daniel Jones problem. Wow, this is a big day, Broussard, because Nick is now a fan of Daniel Jones and Jimmy G. We are in a rare space on this show.
A fan of neither. And the reason, listen, because I want to talk about this from the Niners and Cowboys perspective. This is, for Jimmy G, the Steelers are perfect because it's another team that just needs a quarterback that they're not drawing dead with, like Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph, that, by the way, that year Tomlin finished 500 as well. That the Giants need their quarterback to actually, as coach would put it, be a force multiplier, and Jimmy can't be that. But he obviously, as you guys have talked about, can be a part of a good team. I don't like the terminology leading a team to a Super Bowl when you are in the caboose of the train, but he can be a part of it. He's not Drew Lock, where he's so bad that it doesn't matter how good the rest of your team is. So I think the Steelers would be a great fit for him. I also think if you're a Niners fan, Broussard, if they win, the next game they would play is in Green Bay, where, they beat Green Bay in an NFC Championship game. Green Bay's biggest struggle is against the run. I think Niners fans can talk themselves into, we could go on a run. Jimmy G eventually will kill him, but I think this weekend he'll be fine. I think the more interesting question is this. Can we just show real quick, Broussard, because I want you to react to this, Dallas's schedule. Because if Dallas loses a home playoff game, it's going to continue the trend that started the moment Dak threw the touchdown to beat the Patriots, which is they've been mediocre for 3 months. You look at, but Nick, look at that final column. Yes, but the Saints are disaster at quarterback. Washington and the Giants, disasters at quarterback. And the Eagles were not trying in week 18. So the one team that was trying, that has a quarterback, beat them. The Raiders beat them before. The Chiefs beat them before. I think there is some real come to Jesus meetings in, what do they call it? The Star? At the Star, if Dallas continues kind of an underrated late season swoon, even though they've won five of their last 6. So it sounds weird, but it kind of is a late season swoon if they lose a home playoff game to the Niners.
Oh, yeah, look, if Dallas loses, the perception will be that the sky is falling. And that's created, of course, by their owner, Jerry Jones. He's already been on radio. He's talked to The Athletic and said this is a Super Bowl or bust season. So if you go bust in the first round at home against an underdog, a wild card team, then it's going to be catastrophic to Jerry. And he's going to create that atmosphere. I think, though, if you could step back, if you're a Cowboys fan or even a player or somebody in that organization, if Jerry would allow you to step back and really look at it, you could see that this year was a building block. Dan Quinn came in and improved the defense dramatically. And Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs are only going to get better. All right, so you're good on that side of the ball. You got some improvements to make, but you can make those going forward. Then I think next year, look, Dak, I don't know if the calf is bothering him, Nick. He hasn't been the same player since then. I know, like you said, you can look at a few big games, but last week it was against Philly's backups.
Yep.
One huge game against the Washington football team, which is bad. So you really can't count those as far as, Dak is back to being himself. So next year, you hope that he's healthy and you plan that he's healthy for all 17 games and the playoffs. I think there would need to be a switch, Nick. Switch the roles of Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott.
Pollard and Zeke.
All right, and now I think Pollard should be your primary ball carrier. It's, Zeke's a pounded guy, so you like to make him kind of in that role. But I think you'd look at doing that. But overall, I don't think there shouldn't be a ton of changes. You just have to improve from within
but there might
and come back with more experience and ready to win next year.
There could be some changes that they're not in charge of. Dan Quinn's interviewing for a head coaching job. Kellen Moore's interviewing for a head coaching job. So if you go one and done and then you lose one, maybe both your coordinators could be in a real rough spot in Dallas, Jen, if that happens.
True.
And then maybe Mike McCarthy's looking for a head coaching job. Who knows? Niners and Cowboys kicking off
Jenna.
Sunday.
Jenna, you're playing my song.
Don't humor Nick.
I know.
Jenna.
It's your favorite song. On to the AFC. Big Ben and the Steelers don't have a chance. But wait till you hear what Patrick Mahomes has to say about it. First things first. Time for Drawing a Blank. Here on First Things First, we're talking Chiefs-Steelers. The most lopsided of the wild card weekend matchups. Should the Chiefs win? Sure. Will they? Nobody knows but Nick, apparently, who's calling this matchup better than a bye. Guess who disagrees with you, Nick Wright? Patrick Mahomes said yesterday we are not taking them lightly at all. All right, Broussard. Mahomes' comments on the Steelers are blank.
They are not a cliche, Jenna, not a cliche. Now, I know that many out there, including our own Nick Wright, will say that, Patrick Mahomes is just being politically correct. He doesn't really feel this way. But I believe that Mahomes is wise, Nick. I believe he has learned from some of the beatdowns that Kansas City's taken over the last year and a half or so. All right, we got our swagger back moment. Notwithstanding, all right, I think Mahomes understands that the Chiefs are better served when they just go out there and take care of business. You don't need to be doing all this talking about how you're so much better than everybody. Because remember, before last season, what was it? It's just the beginning. It's a dynasty in the making. Chris Jones, not one, not two, not three, 5 rings we're going to win. How did it work out, though? You got crushed in the Super Bowl. Getting there wasn't good enough. And then this year, you lose 3 of your first, you start 3-4, lose 4 of your first 7. So Mahomes realizes, you know what? Let's respect these other teams in the league. Big Ben and the Steelers, Nick, I told you, they are not to be trifled with. So what Mahomes and the Chiefs need to be focused on is let's go out there and put them away early. Let's be ahead by at least 3 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter, and then Big Ben can't work any of his magic in the fourth and spark a comeback, and it'll be over. So This is not a cliche. This is how your man feels.
Okay, a number of things here. One is, if they're only up 3 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be very difficult to give Big Ben the farewell he deserves, the full Dan Marino. We're shooting for the full Dan Marino here. We're shooting for the 62-7. I don't know that we're going to get there, but that's the goal. That's the goal that we're shooting for. However, unfortunately, I don't know that they're going to get there because the bigger news yesterday was, you guys know, what do I do Friday mornings before football, much less playoff football? What are we checking? We're checking weather. We're checking injury report. Just see Tyreek Hill. An odd little limited participation. It's almost like the Chiefs are considering not playing him. Who could have forecasted that the Chiefs might, be extra cautious with one of their most explosive players? Interesting. Maybe, for Tyreek Hill, maybe it will not be better than a bye. It will actually be a bye. Patrick Mahomes' comments on the Steelers are blatant lies. Patrick, I love ya, but we know you're not telling the truth. Let's all calm. Of course you're taking them lightly. Of course you are. The Chiefs are, I would imagine, you know what they've been game planning for this week? Their next opponent. It's like, all right, it's either going to be the Bills, Raiders, or Bengals. So let's start, who's going to play Jamar Chase in practice this week? What's that? They're not really? You've never wanted a team to lose more. Okay, well, it would be smart, and I think Andy Reid's smart. You can call Andy Reid dumb if you want. That's fine. I think he's smart. I think he's doing the smart thing, and he's preparing for the playoffs, which start for the Chiefs in 8 or 9 days. So these are blatant lies. We know what's happening here. Go ahead, Wilds.
Honestly, I have to go over to Champs Sporting Goods, if that still exists, and I'm going to get a bunch of Steelers gear and be like, wow, I thought you're a Patriots fan. You know what? Turns out I've become a bigger Steelers fan, so I'm rooting hardcore Steelers Nation, black and yellow. I'm into it. All right, my answer, however.
You're going to go 0-2 this weekend, buddy.
Little tremors. I feel a little bit tremors. Should we all stand underneath the doorway for safety? You know what that might be? Beastquake Part 2. That's what I need from my new favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are the 11th double-digit underdog in wild card history. The only one to win? Bum, 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 bum. Yes, Beastquake, Seahawks versus Saints. Marshawn with an epic, historic run. Does the Steelers have somebody who's famous for jumping over guys and stiff-arming guys into oblivion? Oh, yes, they do. Najee Harris using some Alabama footage to save our NFL footage bucket for the big Mac Jones footage we want to run later this week. Just saying. A little inside baseball there on the footage. Oh, Nick, you want to go ahead? You're not afraid of Najee Harris?
Well,
could make a difference.
Couple things, Wild.
Could be something.
I told you, you've been focused on just half of the Friday morning routine. You've just been looking at weather. You've been looking at weather patterns for the New England area, the Buffalo area. You needed to focus more on injury report. Guess what Najee Harris didn't do yesterday? Practice. Not limited participation. Did not participate. Little concerning. But here's the thing. He can be full participant. They're going to be forced out of the run game moments into the football game. Hard to run when you're down 17. Why did the Chiefs ever kick a field goal? 21, maybe get Butker some cardio, but 21, nothing. But can we show Wild's graphic again? Because Broussard, you're a sharp fella, and you're going to notice the same thing I noticed. What does the Seahawks little section of that have different than all the rest? It's not just the win.
Oh, Arrowhead.
It's that it doesn't say at, it says versus.
Yes.
A home team in the playoffs never should have been double-digit underdogs. That was a ridiculous job by the Vegas bookmakers. Terrible job. They deserved to have their teeth kicked in on that game, as they did. A 10-point dog at home in the playoffs. That's all the other teams that
remember
lost.
That's the year. They were 7-9 that year. I remember that year.
I understand. We don't have to debate whether or not that line was correct. I mean, the Seahawks did win outright, so I think history's on my side. However, the point being, this game's not in Pittsburgh. It's at Arrowhead, and I just have one question for Wilds, because I don't know if you know this, Wilds. but 17 of the last 20 Super Bowl losers have not won a playoff game. I know that because you've said it more than 17 times this season. Are you, Mr. Upset Alert, going with your numbers, going with your heart, and picking the Steelers this week?
Don't get sucked into
America
that.
wants to know.
Don't get sucked into that. What?
That's behind the paywall. As I've told you multiple times, if you want my upset alerts, it's behind the paywall. Log on to Fox Sports, paywall, Kevin Wilds, code Wilds, upset alerts, behind the paywall.
Also for
Not giving that away
Kevin,
for free.
Champs in Times Square opens at 8 a.m., buddy. All Steelers all the time.
Good.
Get down there.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
The show won't even end yet, but get down there. You can do that
Gotta
in
go to
commercial
Times.
break. Yes, I'm always good for looking things up in the middle of a segment. Coming up, Nick's got a list. Who has the most to gain by winning the Super Bowl? Number 2 on his list might surprise you. First things first. Back after this. Exactly 30 days away from Super Bowl 56. 272 regular season games in the books. Now the second season with all that Super Bowl glory waiting at the end can begin. So Nick, our friend and colleague, what better time than now this morning to get your take on this? Who's got the most to gain from winning it all this year?
Oh, it's my favorite time of year, Jenna. You know that. Playoff football. We do this every year. Most to gain. One rule, and this should add to some suspense for the end of the list. I did not include anyone from teams that have no chance of winning the Super Bowl. So as the list gets shorter and shorter, it's like, oh, is my team going to make it? So just as a spoiler, as a for instance, you're not going to see a Big Ben. He could have his 3rd Super Bowl. Well, no, he couldn't. He could sprout wings and fly far, far away. So, like, no Steelers on the list because their season is already over. So, number 8, Tom Brady. You might say, Nick, how's Brady so low? Tom Brady has entered the category of people who could least use $10 billion. You know who's on the top of that list? Bezos and Musk. It's like, well, what are you going to put it with the other billions of dollars? Like, at this point, if you walk down the street and you say to a random sports fan, how many Super Bowls does Tom Brady have? I think most of them get it wrong. I think they're like, is it 7? Does he have 8? I don't. So you just put it with the rest. He doesn't have that much to gain, if we're being honest. That is a compliment to Brady. He was in this exact spot on the list last year and won the damn thing. Number 7, Dak. Oddly, it doesn't feel like it would move the needle as much as it would for the guys above him on this list. Now, the Cowboys obviously could win the Super Bowl, but because the story of this year has not been Dak got to another level, it's the defense got to another level. It obviously would be a vindication for Mike McCarthy. It'd be very embarrassing for me if Mike McCarthy all of a sudden has 2 Super Bowl rings. But Dak, any quarterback that wins Super Bowl has something to gain. Dak, I don't think has as much to gain as the next guys, starting with Josh Allen. This is, talk about my worst nightmare. Josh Allen, if they win the Super Bowl, given how much it would mean they beat the Chiefs in round 2 in Arrowhead, and then they go on to win the Super Bowl, folks would argue Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC, and it wouldn't be a ludicrous argument. I wouldn't like it. In fact, I would hate it.
Wow.
In fact, I would consider a change of profession, but I would have to listen to it. So Josh Allen can take the belt from Mahomes. He's got to beat McCorkle. He's got to beat Mahomes. Then obviously AFC Championship game, so on and so forth. Number 5, Matt Stafford. This is it'd be big for Stafford. You know who it'd be bigger for? Retired NFL quarterbacks that feel like they got screwed over by their franchises. Don't you think that if Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl, Jeff George is going to be watching saying, I told you I could have done it. Phillip Rivers watching, he's like, God, dog it. See, you just need to put me in the right spot. This guy was in Detroit for a decade, goes to the Rams and wins. Also for him, it'd be total vindication. And for a guy who's number 1 pick of the draft, has all those 5,000-yard seasons, if they were to win the Super Bowl, I won't agree with it, but people will start saying, hey, is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer? He isn't, but that conversation will start. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers wins this Super Bowl, he's going to win this MVP. I think quarterback Mount Rushmore becomes Brady, Manning, Montana, Rodgers. I understand Gil Brandt and Peter King are very mad at the lack of inclusion of Johnny Unitas. My apologies to Johnny U. But that's what it would be. Right now, that fourth spot on Mount Rushmore is wide open. Is it Dan Marino? Is it Brett Favre? Is it John Elway? Is it Roger Staubach? Is it Terry Bradshaw? I think Rodgers would stake a clear claim to it with a win. Speaking of Mount Rushmore's number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would have accomplished more in 5 years than Rodgers, than Breeze in their careers from a winning perspective. He would not only be actually really credibly in the midst of a dynasty, but also would dead forever the is something wrong with Mahomes takes if he ever has a slump again. If they win the Super Bowl this year, when he was the down year and all that nonsense we had to hear, PFF has him as the 10th best quarterback in football, and it'd be the greatest start to a career in NFL history. Number 2, Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow wins, here's the question. Is this the greatest 3-year stretch for a quarterback ever? Nick, what do you mean? Well, in the last 3 years, he's been healthy twice. He had an undefeated national championship season in college, the greatest statistical college season ever, and he followed it up with his first healthy year as a pro, winning the Super Bowl for the Bengals. Winning a Super Bowl for the Bengals actually counts as 3. He would also now have more rings than Rodgers and Breeze and Mahomes, all those guys. He would have 3 of them. And then, all right, I know Cardinals fans and Niners fans and Titans fans, they're like, nobody from my team has been revealed. Who, is it number 1? They're not coming out. McCorkle and Belichick, most to gain. Oh,
Let's
soak
go.
it in.
Wow. Let's go.
McCorkle and Belichick, the most to gain. You guys know I don't believe in the baby goat nonsense. But if they win the Super Bowl, and he's, dinking and dunking his way there, that does feel a little Brady-ish. And for Belichick, Broussard, I think he's already the greatest coach ever. But I think in the Brady-Belichick, who's winning the divorce, I think Belichick doesn't just catch up, takes the lead. I think winning the Super Bowl with this Patriots team this year would be more impressive than Brady winning it with that Bucs team last year. Now, I don't think they're going to do it. However, it would be disrespectful of the Patriots and of Belichick to say they have no chance, like the Titans. Sorry, Titans.
Okay.
Titans actually did have a bye. I'm giving them no chance. But, so there it is. Most to gain. You can't say I'm not dripping with objectivity. I've got McCorkle and Burrow ahead of my guy. Pretty good. Broussard, your take.
All right, a fun list, Nick. Very fun. But I start with this. I do believe Arizona, San Francisco, and Tennessee have a shot. So I would like to see Cliff Kingsbury, and Kyler Murray on there like a split, just like Belichick and McCorkle. And I'd like to see Jimmy G somewhere in there. But dealing with the 8 that you have, my major issue, I agree with 1 and 2. My major issue is Mahomes has to move way back. I think Mahomes goes to 7 ahead of only Brady. 7? All right, and I say that, look, you're right. He would gain a ton, obviously, from winning his second Super Bowl. He would restore the belief that he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now and that he is en route to potential GOATdom, as you and I have said. All right, there are definitely gains for him, as there are for everybody. But I just think, look, he's so young, and anybody that knows NFL history doesn't expect him to get to the Super Bowl or win it every year. It just doesn't happen. And anybody that would write him off because he didn't win the Super Bowl this year is just crazy and doesn't know the history of the game. Tom Brady went a decade, Nick, without winning a Super Bowl. All right, so Mahomes would have time left where he could rack up not only another Super Bowl, but many. So that's why I don't think he's ahead of like Rodgers and Stafford. I do think Stafford probably punches his ticket to the Hall of Fame, and you're right about Rodgers and what he would gain. So I just think Mahomes is about 7 ahead of only Brady. Other than that, it's definitely a good list.
No, that is it's a fair argument to say that if I've got Brady at 8, I should have Mahomes at 7. Two made men, so to speak. But because, Wilds, there has been some chatter this year about what's wrong with Mahomes. Has Mahomes been figured out? This would dead that forever. And so that's why I have him where I have him. Wilds, I assume you're just tickled pink with your guys in the top spot.
Well, I think it's delightful. And for the record, saying Belichick would catapult above Brady. When Bill Belichick goes to his safety deposit box at the local Foxborough post office, there are not 6 Super Bowl rings. He still has the 2 Giants rings in there. The total ring score is 8-7 Belichick. Just if we're keeping count, don't just throw those Giants defensive coordinator rings in the garbage. They are there and they count. Off that point, we talk about counting rings. Talk about Aaron Rodgers. Dwayne Wade, I'm going to stay with me here. Dwayne Wade said an interesting thing earlier this week. He said, you know what? People are going to forget about Michael Jordan like we forget about Kareem. He didn't mean it meanly. He just said in the courses of time, the greats end up getting a little foggy as you get further and further away from watching them play. I think this is especially true with the quarterback position. We saw a stat earlier this week that Brady has thrown more touchdowns after the age of 40 than Troy Aikman had in his entire career. And that's just because the game and the offensive passing has transcended even in the last 30 years. It's totally different. So I don't think any quarterback stats are actually going to hold up in whatever the NFL is going to be in 20, 30 years from now. So I think it's going to boil down to rings. And if you can say, Aaron Rodgers, he was one of the greats. He won a few MVPs. He was the lifeblood of, Packers football.
He needs one
I think a teenager is going to be like, why do you only win one ring then? And you'd be like, good point, kid.
Take.
That's a good point. I'm an old man. I got to go eat some porridge. So I think Rodgers needs this one. He's got the bye. It's going through Lambeau. He needs it.
No, I think you're right, especially because Rodgers Favre, for some Green Bay folks, is still a real debate. Favre has 3 MVPs, 1 ring, and 1 Super Bowl appearance. So 5 total high-level accolades. Rodgers right now has 4 MVPs, or he's about to when he wins this year, 1 Super Bowl ring, and that's his only appearance. So he probably needs, at least to make the Super Bowl, if not win it, to officially, I think he's past Favre. But for it to be unanimous, just to pass Favre. I agree. I think history, for quarterbacks, they're going to look at MVPs and they're going to look at Super Bowls. I think, go ahead, Wild.
Just quickly, if he gets to the Super Bowl and loses, I think it's going to have a little bit of a LeBron factor, where it's like, we're not giving you any credit for getting to the Super Bowl and losing. I don't think that's the way it's going to play.
No, it's like the 17 Warriors. No shame in that. There's no shame in that.
No, it is not.
Lose a great player. No shame. Yeah.
It's an L, Nick.
All right, time for Nick to hand out some NBA medals. Little T-Wolves, Grizzlies action. Ja scoring 16 points off his season average, but Memphis rallied for a win in this one, so no medal for Ja. But Nick, which 3 guys did it better last night?
All right, we'll start with the bronze. The reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, gets a bronze.
Yeah.
Now, you might look at that stat line and say 28-7 gets you on the medal stand. Well, did you see his Raptor and Pi scores last night? If not, his adjusted BPM was off the charts, guys. Trust me, just trust me, or just check Hollinger's Twitter feed. Silver. SGA, 33, 10, and 9 for SGA as they dominate the Nets in Barclays. Also, thanks to Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob, we saw interesting little meeting of the minds between SGA and arguably the greatest agent in sports history, Rich Paul, after the game. Wonder what they could be talking about. And a gold, Giannis. Oh, Giannis. 30, 12, 11 in a total decimation of the Golden State Warriors. Giannis becomes the first player in NBA history to have multiple 30-point triple-doubles playing less than 30 minutes. This game was over at halftime, and for those wondering, did Steph Curry's shooting slump end? He was 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, which raised his averages since Christmas. So Steph getting back on the right track. Got to listen to Mark Jackson say he's the MVP. Mark, watch the games. This is the MVP. He's been bad for 3 weeks. There's the medal stand. Sorry, Wilds, I know it's your buddy.
Once again,
I like you, Mark.
Steve Kerr saying, I am not worried.
There goes that man.
About this team
taste.
at all. Hey, Mac and Belichick have the most to gain. That's according to Nick. But will they even get past the Bills tomorrow night? Asked and answered next. First things first. Friday morning. Time for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Patriots, Bills, going to be dealing with some extreme weather again. Wind chill expected to be minus 11 at kickoff. We know what happened last time Mac was up there dealing with bad weather. Threw 3 passes. Passed 1. Some say he hasn't been the same since. All right, Nick, here we go. Patriots, Bills, who wins tomorrow night?
Oh, this is a tough one. And Wilds, a lot of things have been pushing me towards the Patriots. The colder the weather, the better Belichick gets. I am legit concerned about Josh Allen's feet. Legit concerned. The whole they go numb, bad circulation. Because I think I think a huge part of the Bills' attack is going to be running the football. I also think the Patriots want to play a low-scoring, long possession, grinded-out game. However, one thing is sticking out to me, and it's not Mac Jones. Because I don't think Josh Allen's going to play very well in this game. I don't think Mac Jones is going to play very well in this game. This is how I see this going, Wilds. I think the Bills are up 3 with the ball. Patriots need 1 stop to get it back and a chance to tie or win. And they can't get the stop. So I got to go Buffalo. And you might say, Nick, they can't get the stop. That's what happened in Indy. Yeah. Down a score. Need a stop. Didn't get it. Against Buffalo. Buffalo led wire to wire, but it was a 1-score game late. Needed a stop. Josh Allen drove the field. And then the most insulting of them all, when you thought maybe you could still win the division because Bills-Jets was in question. Playing the Dolphins, played terribly in the beginning, dig yourself a big hole, but you dig yourself out of it for the most part. Need 1 stop against Tua. And he scrambles on 3rd and 7, I think, 3rd and 6. Can't get the stop. So I think it's close. I don't trust the Patriots' defense enough to overcome what I think is going to be a clearly limited offense. So I've got Buffalo 20-17, Wilds.
Wow. Okay, what you saw just there, America, is Nick Wright being put in an analytical and emotional vice between his hatred for Mac Jones and his hatred for Josh Allen, and it got squeezed and someone had to come out the winner, and it turns out it was the Bills. Here's the thing. I think the Patriots are going to win because I don't think anybody even wants to look in the mirror and tell themselves, I don't believe in Bill Belichick. I don't trust Bill Belichick. Go try it. Put this on DVR. Paul, go to the mirror and say, I don't believe Bill Belichick can get it done. You'd be like, oof, that seems weird coming out. You're not going to be able to do it. Because everyone who watches football has in the back of their mind, in a little part of their heart, an immense trust in Bill Belichick's game plan. And part of that game plan, I think, is going to be to air the ball out a little bit more. We kept all those games sneaky close, like Nick said. The problem was we were down 14-0 against the Colts in the first quarter, 14-0 against the Dolphins in the first quarter, 7-0 against the Bills in the first quarter, and the baby goat let us back. Here's an idea, pro bono to everybody in Foxborough. Let's not get down in the first quarter. Let Mac Jones throw the ball a little bit. Broussard, check out this stat. When Mac Jones throws the ball 6 or more times, we're 7-2. When we throw it 5 or fewer, he's 3-5. Add to the fact that I think that Mac Jones, Nick has a tiny point, a very small point, that Mac Jones could use a little bit of a confidence booster. Could say, hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind feeling let me get the blood flowing in my hand. Let me throw the ball a little bit more rather than being so committed to the run. So for those reasons, I think we're going to play better defense. I think we're going to air the ball out in the first quarter. And I believe in Belichick. Patriots win a tight one.
Look,
with me, Broussard.
Belichick obviously likes to throw
week, you and I.
Well, look, while Belichick obviously likes to throw wrinkles at teams and do things differently and give them looks they're not expecting. So is it possible he comes out throwing the ball with Mac? Yeah, but I think he will try to establish the run first. And let's face it, 6 passes in a quarter isn't a lot. That's only 24 for a game. So it's possible. But look, Wilds, you guys know, everybody on this show, what we want more than anything is to be right. Right? You want your predictions and your picks to be right. So you can come on here and gloat and stick out your chest and have bass in your voice and all that, right? I genuinely hope I'm wrong. Because the exciting story, the sexy story is Belichick going deep into the playoffs to the Super Bowl without Brady. All right, and Mac Jones, a rookie. Oh my gosh. I mean, it'd be awesome. All right, but Wilds, I'm going with Buffalo. So I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong on this one. I told you this a few weeks ago when they played again, that I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going with Buffalo, and I turned out to be right. Poor me. But I'm going with Buffalo in this one. And Nick, I hope you're right in that it's a nail biter. We all want playoff games to be exciting, right? But I think Josh Allen, unlike what you said, Nick, will come out and play well. He's, for the most part, the last 2 years, played well against Belichick. In 4 games, he's had 2 where he threw over 300 yards each time, a 3-touchdown, no interception game, a 4-touchdown, no interception game. Even in the windstorm earlier this season, I thought he actually threw the ball well. I mean, considering the conditions, my goodness, he was relatively effective in those wild conditions that New England didn't even want to challenge. All right. He just couldn't get it done in the red zone, which he generally is pretty good at. So I think Josh is going to come out and play well. And I think Buffalo is going to win this game, Nick.
A counterpoint to one of the things you said, Wilds, and then something that works in your guys' favor. The counterpoint to 6 or more passes in the first quarter for the season is if we just look at Mac Jones and against the Bills and the Patriots against the Bills over the last 2 years, they're undefeated when they throw 3 or fewer passes, and they're 0-3 when they throw more than 3 passes. So maybe the idea should just be run literally every play. It's the only way you've beaten the Bills the last 2 years. However, I'm going to, it's Friday, it's playoff weekend. I'm going to leave you with a point of optimism. It is going to be so cold in Buffalo, and not windy at all, supposedly. Mac Jones, I'm not being a smart aleck here. His lack of arm strength might help. Josh Allen, one of his weaknesses is he's always throwing the fastball. And at -5 degrees, that is throwing a missile at guys' fingers. Mac Jones, meanwhile, throws nice little pop guns, and that can, go softly into someone's arms. Coming. So that might help, Jenna.
It is true.
See you Monday. Have a great weekend.